Africa is said to be the least contributor to this phenomenon, and that is less than 4% of global volumes of carbon emissions. Now, the demand is now for Africa to go green, abandon the exploitation of the abundant natural resources which the continent has been blessed with, and the resources which the continent needs to finance her development. My question: do you believe this call is fair?
There are certain nations that have been the biggest contributors to emissions, and there are other nations who have paid the biggest price. And that we, as global leaders, must recognize the disparity that exists there and address those disparities.
Welcome back to AfrigaZone for Africa to win. Wonderful people in the diaspora and of the diaspora. If you are here for the first time, my name is Raphael from the US diaspora, Ghanaian and American, on course to return back home. So on this channel, I'll share with you the latest in the diaspora here in America and also back in Africa. We talk about also the transition, which is during the transition, how do you prepare yourself before you leave the diaspora and go back home? Beyond the diaspora, after you have returned, the post-return, how do you sustain yourself with income? I've been on course for a few years and I have prepared myself going back and forth. And I am able to build some businesses, some cash flow businesses that sustain me already there. In this summer, I'm returning with my family and add more to it. I share that with you, and also what are the sectors of investment in Ghana. Go back to my previous videos. A lot of things has happened. A lot of things, positive things have been added to the continent of Africa. As I'm going to Ghana, I'll share with you what are some of the things that are in Ghana right now. You can also prepare to do business in or also to invest in. Therefore, I'll let you watch this small clip, the entire clip. You just watch few seconds of it, from the beginning. But now, watch the entire video. I'll be right back. See you soon.
My name is Nanesi Boateng, Jubilee House reporter for Oman FM. Madam Vice President, my question, one of issues in recent time has to do with the effect of climate change. Now, countries great and small are feeling the bend of its impact as we speak. Africa is said to be the least contributor to this phenomenon, and that is less than 4% of global volumes of carbon emissions. Now, the demand is now for Africa to go green, abandon the exploitation of the abundant natural resources which the continent has been blessed with, and the resources which the continent needs to finance her development. My question: do you believe this call is fair?
Thank you for that question. So I'll start with this. I don't think that anyone would deny that the globe is facing a climate crisis. And that is a fact. The last time I saw Mr. President, you were actually, the last time we were on the same continent was when you and I were both at the Munich Security Conference. And when I was on stage, a topic came up, at which point I raised exactly the point of your question, which is that there are certain nations that have been the biggest contributors to emissions, and there are other nations who have paid the biggest price. And that we, as global leaders, must recognize the disparity that exists there and address those disparities. So when I think about the United States' role to that end, part of the work that our administration has been doing is addressing what we must do as an imperative to reduce our global emissions. We, during our administration, the Biden-Harris administration, take great pride in accomplishing a significant step toward that end, where we have dedicated $370 billion to the climate crisis, with a great deal of that directed at what we can do to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So that is an important step as we go forward. But it is critically important that as global leaders, we all speak truth about the disparities that exist in terms of cause and effect, and that we address those disparities. And part of my trip here is actually to also recognize the opportunities then that exist in this transition to what we call a clean energy economy, a green economy, and the opportunities that exist for American private interest and the American government to also share in Africa's leadership on this, in terms of helping to contribute resources to what are very innovative practices that are occurring here on the continent, some of which I will be highlighting during this trip.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm excited to share this with you. I've lived 2/3 of my life in abroad. As I'm going back, I am a pro-African. I am pro-African. I've gained from all parts of the world, from Africa, from Europe, and from America that I've been living in for 20 years. In terms of the question that have been asked, the VP, Kamala Harris, even she's lovely, but I'm going to dwell on facts here that we are presenting. You have heard how the G7, the G20, the biggest GDP and economic country are pushing for climate change right now, for preservation. We understand scientifically, we understand also that it is real what is happening in the world, in the entire world. We are not ignorant. We are not refusing. We are not closing our ears. But when in terms of pollution, in terms of emission that will be released into the atmosphere, the percentage of the developed countries like America and Europe, they are way ahead. Ours is just very tiny. But now they are pushing for some of the program that will stop Africa to go through its developing stage into its peak. Let us realize that we have all natural resources. Now, for the past 2 decades, we see Africa realizing its potential. Africa saying that there's a lot of minerals in our soil. Therefore, why they try to stop us, they try to push for this new renovation and not allowing us to use our resources for our own development, for our own industrialization. Ghanaian journalists ask, is it fair that you, developed country, you have come to your peak right now when it comes to development? You have used the same resources that we are going to use right now to develop ourselves. All of a sudden, you are coming to say that, oh no, stop using it. We have to use the new one. What is behind? What is the agenda behind it? The only agenda behind it is that they want to stall our developing stage to get to our peak. Why are they going to be coming and depleting it? They're going to be coming and taking it away. This is not fair. Everybody must take his share. Our percentage of emission is less than what? It's way less. The whole huge continent of Africa, less than 5%. Less than 5%. And all of a sudden, We should not use our resources, natural resources like gas that come from our soil to develop ourselves to the next stage of industrialization. This is not fair. This is pure imperialism. Look at it. It's right there in your own plate. But this is not going to happen. We are the new generation. Make sure that our voice is being heard. So if you are part of the diaspora, this information is valuable. We have to make sure that everything is equitable. The disparity, down to the disparity. No more for the disparity. Everybody must take his share. It's time for the development. It's time to utilize our potential. It's time for our opportunities. It is our turn. I'll leave you here and let you know that Africa is the next big thing. If you are here, you have not yet subscribed, kindly subscribe to my channel. This video is brought to you by AfrigaZone.merchpass.com. You'll see it on the screen. Support me through the store. Buy one of the t-shirts, buy one of the apparels. We take the 50% of our revenue to support the underprivileged than us back in the continent with school assets in every area that is needed. Thank you for watching this video. I hope this information helps you moving forward. Back to Africa, the movement. Back to Africa, the movement is still on. Ciao. AfrigaZone for Africa to win. Wonderful people of the diaspora, here is my first store. AfrigaZone is now going productive, and our motto is for Africa to win. And our revenue, let you know that our revenue, the 50% of our revenue goes to helping people in Africa, the less privileged than us, in supplying their school materials and assets. So do not hesitate to visit the store through this link, AfrigaZone.merchpass.com, and you'll see my product, and all over the world it can be ordered and it'll be delivered to your door effectively. And I'm announcing this to our community to support me and to support AfrigaZone in the journey of moving back to Africa, and also participating in the development, participating in the emancipation of our continent. Thank you very much.